Hello, and welcome to Expat Aptitude, the podcast exploring real stories and real challenges of global mobility, powered by La Relocation. I'm Vera, your host, and today we are diving into a topic that is really a crucial part of every international relocation journey. That is cultural resilience. And our guest today embodies this concept in a unique and profound way. So that's why she's here. Choi was born in South Korea, lived in the UK and Ireland, and currently lives in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. And at the same time, she's working in the Italian-speaking region. So her life is really a blend of cultures, languages, mindsets, and also identities. So Choi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Choi, your story spans several countries, cultures, and languages as well. Before we explore today's topic, could you briefly introduce yourself and your international background?
My name is Choi. I'm from South Korea. The first time that I left South Korea is because I wanted to explore something new before I get 30, which is like working in a brand that I really like, really love, which is Lush. I don't know if you guys know it, the bath bomb company.
Yeah, we know it very well.
Exactly. So that's the first time that I left Korea, and then I began my journey as an expat. But in Ireland, I met my husband who is from Switzerland, which I didn't know. And then now I'm living in Switzerland and working living in the German side of the Switzerland and working in the Italian side of the Switzerland at the moment. Yes.
Wow, so such a plot twist. I mean, it wasn't planned.
No,
to come to
not at all.
Switzerland.
Actually, in Ireland, I went there with the working holiday visa, so that I could work. I didn't actually have to go to like language school or something, but I know myself so well that I actually have to in order for me to have some vacation. Because I know that like language school is more of like a summer language school is more of a party, and then that was my case
Recreation.
exactly. But it wasn't that case. Instead, I met my husband, and and then we did like a 4 years of a long-term relationship while I was working in Ireland and UK. And then there was the decision-making moment came where when my husband proposed me, and then I also
Oh,
like had a big promotion in front of me, and I had to choose, and then I chose him.
wow. Such a romantic plot twist, really. So a relocation that was led by love.
Yes.
Do you remember relocating, not visiting, relocating to so many different countries? Do you remember your first cultural moment abroad that truly surprised you or made you smile? Like, the so-called cultural
Yeah.
shock.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like there was a cultural shock moment and a smile moment. I mean, I'm coming from the big city. I was born and raised in a city where 24 opening convenience stores are such a normal thing. Yeah, but as soon as I relocate myself to European country like Ireland, UK, and Switzerland, well, London was a little bit, similar to Seoul because it was also like a big city. But
Mhm.
the thing that shocked me is that the speed of administration, which also stressed me out because I couldn't really just, not doing it. But still, like, I was very shocked on the fact that it takes so long time and then so analog. It's so analog, like, because in Korea, it's all like most of the things you can do it in digital, like in few seconds. And it costs so much money because there are people involved. But I
Yeah.
mean, the more year that I spend in a European country, the more I think that I am kind of adjust to it. But every time I come into the tax season or there are some documents that I have to take in, I realize again that like I am still not adjust to that culture. However, there's also like a thing that I really think it's cute or like something that makes me smile, which is in the city, like when you say hi to someone or like when you bump into someone that's the only time that you say sorry or like, oh, excuse me, or nobody actually tell you like hi. Like if someone um that I don't know greets me on the street, I'll be like, did I do something wrong? Yeah, it's just like it never happens. Like unless like you know me, like or else you don't really say like hi in the street. But it's so normal in Switzerland or like even Ireland that when you're like walking on the street or when you're in when you're walking, when you're taking a hike or when you're taking a walk, when you have like this eye contact with someone, then he or she will gonna tell you hi, good day, good morning, good afternoon. It's so normal. And then
Yeah,
at
it's
first I
very
thought,
natural. Yes,
right,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like,
So-
oh, it feels like a little like a village, like a Lego village, like it's
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
game.
That's true. So it's like a
Yes.
bit going back to ancient times, both from the administration bureaucracy side and the people meeting side. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's very cute that like people say hi to each other everywhere they see. And then also like in Korea, in Seoul, it's very modern. And then we do also have like an old palace, but most of the buildings and everything are very newly built. And the fact that like when I go to like Italian part of Switzerland or like here in St. Gallen where I'm living, it's also quite nice to be surrounded by the nature and then the
Mm.
historical heart. Like it's just there on the way to work and then on the way to a grocery store. I think that's also very cool.
Yeah, and cows are basically a
Oh
part
yeah.
of
Well,
daily life in Switzerland, right?
exactly. I only saw it in the Well, that's a little bit of a extreme, but like I don't really have an image in my head that like I go very near to the cow and then like touch them or it's not. Of course, I know where milk is from, but I'm not that extreme that like oh milk is from supermarket. I'm not that. I know that like it's coming from the cow, but it was really shocking, but also like very cute. Now that I'm a little bit like okay with it, even though there's a cow right on the next of the car street, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, that was a very surprise moment as well. Yes. Yes. Surrounded by nature.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, and then yes, you really moved a lot around. I mean, coming from Asia, which is very different from Europe and all the Western world, if we want to say like that. And then Switzerland, which is Europe, but not really Europe. So when you think about the topic we would like to talk with you about today, which is the cultural resilience, what does it mean to you on a personal level?
Well, yeah, but because I was in a very like different cultures, I think it applies to every country in a very different way, depending on the situation that I'm in or the environment that I'm in or the mood that I'm in. I don't know. So while I was in Ireland and UK, like at least I could speak English. So like there was no really a problem like understanding or expressing my culture, explaining my culture to them. And then also, especially in London, there was quite a lot of Korean culture already present there. So there's already some acceptance and then like or even welcoming like of the culture or like openness to know about like other cultures and sort of thing. So I don't think there's too much of a like a resilience on that. However, because of the work environment that I had, like I was working at Lush, I was like fighting quite a lot, or like we were kind of like campaigned a lot about like a gender equalities and then like those culture as well. I think that's also like a cultural resilience, like that they are like fighting to achieve some kind of comfort regarding their community and then the culture. So yeah. However, like in Switzerland, I felt, I mean, somewhat more about the cultural resilience. I think that's partially because I couldn't speak language in the
Mhm.
first place, and then it will gonna be much harder for me or for the other person to understand each other, right? So that's why it was also shocking for me in the beginning that when I think about Switzerland, most of the thing that I had in my mind before I actually came to the German speaking part of Switzerland was Geneva, like all the international, like the 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 UN, and so I thought that like English was enough. English would be enough, and then it will not going to be that much of a problem. It's so open and very international country, but it's actually like I mean, there's no good or bad about it, but like my personal like perception about like Switzerland is that like is still to the date that like the most conservative country I've ever been, including South Korea.
Mhm. Well, each canton, I would say each canton is very proud of their traditions,
Exactly.
their specific
Yeah.
cultures, dishes, and everything. And also, yes, there's, I mean, four official languages. So that's
Or
also
exactly.
a very
And then I
important
thought that
point.
official language was English before. Like,
Well, not in St. Gallen, I suppose.
no, no. But I think that's exactly the point that you said is something that I learned as well. Well, like London or like, like bigger city, like there's no, I mean, they, of course, they have an identity, but like the mixing culture, like multicultural, like thing is one of their identities. So actually, like there's Londonness is actually like everything about all the culture. But I think Switzerland, because this country has such a, a profound identity of themselves, and then each canton, actually, it's not just the country, is so proud of their culture and then their identity. I think that's kind of a way, or the reason why they're quite like resilient in accepting other culture.
Hmm.
However, still, because there are four languages, there are different like nationalities living there. Even though they say that like, oh, if I'm living in, like a St. Gallen, they say, oh, I hate Zurich. Well, everyone hates Zurich, and Zurich people hate everyone. Like, even though they say that, but still,
You
I
say
think,
that.
yeah, but I think that's the reason why I think they kind of learn how to accept each other. So in a
Mhm.
way, I think Switzerland has the highest cultural resilience without them knowing, I think.
Yeah. No, I quite agree with you. I think this is a good reflection. I mean, it's like saying that there's richness in this diversity and in the sum of all these different cultures and little villages that speak quite different dialects.
Yeah.
I think it's
People think
very
that it's
nice thing.
natural. Yeah, it's for them, it's like, yeah, they can speak other language and it's not such a foreign thing, but actually even though like in a surface level, like a Korea or like London might, like think that like, oh yeah, people speaking different languages, like, but in Korea, it will not gonna be, like that much of a, how to say, uh usual thing that you're going to see people speaking another language. But here, being able to accept that, like, the people that you meet in the same country might talk a different language, it's a base understanding.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think
Yes.
in that way, yeah, I think the basic level of the openness of the culture, it's much, I mean, wider here, but without them knowing, I think.
So this brings me to another question. With all the things and different contexts that you've lived and experienced on your skin, is there any, I mean, meaningful lesson you really remember that living between cultures has taught you, or yeah, taught you also about yourself?
I always like talk to my sister that it's not too different how people lives in every places. Even though, like it requires you a lot of courage to
Hmm.
come out from your comfort zone and, build a totally new life with nothing, like it's just, like built from scratch. But it's actually, cannot do wrong. I mean, people are very open more than you think. When you approach them with your own hearts, and also after overcome that fear, the experience that you're gonna have, it's something that nobody cannot take it away from you. those are the things that I think it will gonna stay with you, and then it will gonna be a story, your story, and something that you can share it with your kids, or
Yeah.
So I think it also like kind of stays with me. I love collecting these little like patches, or like some badges, and I think each cultures, or like even like in Switzerland, as you said, I am living in German side of the Switzerland, but I'm working in Italian side of the Switzerland. Those two have such a different dynamics, and then
Yeah.
uh, because I have an opportunity to experience both of them, not just as a tourist, but as someone who work or like live there. It gives me like two different patches, like to me, that like gives me such a like, vibrant color, like not just like a overall as a one that like, someone who lives in Switzerland, or.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, we could say that being an expat, becoming an expat, it's an evolution of your,
Yes.
I mean, of who you are and your identity, because you really evolve through all the experiences that you do and you take part. So I don't know if you still feel being from just one place or being from many places, or maybe you created like a new personal definition of yourself collecting all these badges.
Yeah. I mean, even though myself will change a lot, and then I will reflect on like where I am, who I meet, and then
Mhm.
what kind of culture I am, and then the environment and everything. But because those are kind of like a mirror to yourself, so it actually gives you a little bit more clarity of who you are, or discover some or like characteristic that you didn't know, or like the strength that you didn't know that you had, and so everything. But all of that coming together and then gives you a little bit more clear image of yourself. Actually, the first reason why I decided to come out from my home country is because I was keep having this feeling that I'm losing myself. Like even though all the people around me are telling me that you should be very happy, or like you're very happy, I'm not. So I thought that like I don't know myself, and then I cannot really
Mm.
like go on a journey of marrying to someone, or like having kids, making a family without knowing me, because then I think I'm not going to be truly happy. And then in order for me to do that, I thought that I had to detach myself where I can be easily defined by a relationship, someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend,
Yeah.
and totally just like put myself into a foreign environment, and then reflect myself on this like environment or the people that I meet, and then there I truly discover myself. But I'm still on the journey. I mean, with the
Well, we
marriage
all are.
relationship, yeah, and work relationship, I discover every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have that. Okay, I have to keep it or I have to throw it away. It's just, like constant, like a developing of myself. But also, how to say, when I notice the most, uh, when I see myself reflecting on who I meet, the indication that I have is the language, or like that I follow the accent, or like how they speak or how they say the certain words. And well, I think that's also the reason why I love learning languages, because it kind of, for me, means that like I'm being respectful for their culture by following the way they say things. I will try the best how the actual people who share the culture say those words and so on everything. So I speak totally different. When I speak in Korean, I'm a bit more like sarcastic and very uh I'm very sarcastic, and then I'm very low, like when I'm say something in Korean. And in English, because I learned English with like Disney movies and like high teen movies, high tone. German, I speak very alike to my mother-in-law, because I speak to her quite a lot, like with the
That makes
food,
sense.
like yes, and then the intonations and some everything as well. When I was working in a perfumery, so I have a very like, distinctive like tone when I say certain words, which reminds me of them.
Yeah.
And also like Italian as well. Like I know a lot of the food and so on and everything because I talk a lot about it and so on and everything. So by observing what kind of language and how I speak, that kind of gives me kind of reflection that like how I took those cultures or how I took those different experiences in my
Yes,
life.
how you are incorporating them, really.
Yes, yes, yes. It's like a stain, a little.
So, besides the foodie badge for the Italian speaking Ticino, how is it? I mean, how was it the transition working from working in the German speaking region to beginning to work in the Italian speaking region of Switzerland?
I mean, in general, like I compare to like Asia and Europe, I was working a lot more, how to say, intense, like in Asia, like because like Korea, especially, like we don't have any natural resources. We only have like this brain. Like we have to work hard, and then working after six, it's normal, and like now it's changing, I know, but like when I worked, yeah, it was very intense. I had like 12 days of holiday per year. And yes, exactly. And then my husband is like, that's
Yeah,
legal. Yes. And then, but now when I'm like working in UK and Ireland and Switzerland, in the German side of the Switzerland and then the Italian side of the Switzerland, I think yes, the work-life balance is a little bit, more considered, and then I don't really have to feel bad when I use like 4 days holiday in a row because it's quite all common, and then some
yeah,
everything. But if I could go a little bit more in depth in a working in a German side of the Switzerland and then the Italian part of the Switzerland. Well, German part, like the punctuality and then very strict and so on everything. That's the characteristic. But the thing is, Asia, even though we so much intention in a very intense, however, we we do work to eat. We work to eat because eating is very important part of our culture. Like our love language is food.
but
Like
yeah,
you cannot leave alone those things. But when I was like working in the German side of the Switzerland, of course I was also working in retail, so that's also like a little bit of difference. Eating part wasn't really very like central in the culture,
yeah,
like you just eat something and then so that you can work. So it's more about you eat to work. And
yeah, yeah.
then
Toward
that
the
kind of
end,
like, yeah, always make me feel bad. That like I always think about my mom. That like, oh, my mom will be so sad, like when she see me like having some like salad or like sandwiches, like during the break. But
now it's a
well,
great thing you commute to the Italian part, so this food culture can be a bit back in your own.
exactly, because Italian culture, like we love eating together, and then talking, and then nobody touch when we're eating. That time is secured, and then
It's sacred, yes.
yeah, exactly. And then for me, that's really important. And then it's a very distinctive difference that I felt that like we still eat. That, like we work to eat. Eating is very, very important part of the whole working culture, which I really do appreciate. So yeah, that's the most distinctive part.
Uh, so we are approaching to the end. So I
Mhm.
will keep my last questions very brief. And one, the one is about Switzerland. Generally speaking, if you have any specific advice for expats to be newcomers, how they can adapt smoothly, or maybe avoid common mistakes, misunderstandings.
Yeah. Well, first of all, like English is not their official language. I mean, of course, you'll be able to see. Well, I also saw it in Google that like they have four national languages and so on everything. And I even had like a Swiss like boyfriend. But still, I thought that the English could, like
Could work.
able to yeah being able to speak English will gonna help me survive in there. No, you have to learn the local language of the canton that you're gonna live or work. That's the
Yeah.
first advice. Second advice is actually something that it comes up quite often when I'm talking with another expat friend that I'm meeting here in Switzerland, that most of the Swiss people
Mm.
don't do spontaneous meetings or, like visiting or something. You have to at least a month time ahead ask them to like book a meeting and sort everything. But you shouldn't take that as a personal thing. It's just, they really value their privacy and then they would really like to take, time.
Yeah.
So it's, don't don't really like visit someone's house without, like letting them know in advance quite a long time,
So it should
because
be
that
scheduled.
exactly, because that happens to one of my friends that like she moved to some complex, and then in her culture, and actually in Korean culture as well, when you move, then you actually like have some food, and then you go around the neighbors, and then just say hi. And uh she got so like such a shoulder in the most of the neighbors that she visited. And then but she realized it that like it's not personal, it's actually she misunderstood the culture as well, that like it's not the culture like that. But it takes time to kind of soften the Swiss people, but once you become a friend, then they really stays for your life. They're really a royal friends, and yeah, they're gonna be, yeah, they're gonna stay in your life. And don't be late when someone asks you to be at 9, be at 8:50. Like, like the
Otherwise,
buses
you
never.
yeah, you cannot be
Yeah,
friends. So
exactly.
you have to start with the right foot.
Yes, the train leaves exactly at that time or even early, like for the bus. Like it happened last week for me. The bus, it says it comes at like 5:11, but the bus came at 5:07 and then it left. So like, it even comes early. It doesn't, make sense in your head, but it does. So be on time. And then, yes, I think then you're not gonna have any problem. Oh, don't go to a walk. Don't just say yes to a walk when they tell you, let's go for a walk.
I know
It's
that.
not a walk, it's a hike.
Yeah.
Get a right boots and then a hiking stick, and then expect three
Everything
four
full
hour
gear.
hiking.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for these insights because I think
No.
they're very real, true to life.
Yes.
And before closing, I have one very last question we
Mhm.
ask every of our guests.
Okay.
So the question is, what does expat aptitude mean to you?
Oh, expert aptitude. Well, it's like a way of life, right? Like it's your lifestyle. For me, personally, I think it's more related to um, I mean, you being okay, like being okay,
Mhm.
even though you are out of your comfort zone. Knowing that this kind of experience, and also the relationship and opportunity that you will gonna encounter will enrich your life someday, somehow. It's also for me personally a learning journey of accepting that I'm not in the control of the situation. Like, well, every situation. Um, and also being okay with that, because it will gonna make sense later why it was like this and so on, everything. So I think overall the aptitude for me is a journey of finding myself, even though might be strange at first, but believing that it's okay because it will gonna help me later in my life, but
Yes, like
along the
learning by
journey.
doing.
Yes, exactly. But along that journey, you're gonna meet amazing friends. You're gonna learn amazing things, experience amazing things as well. So yes, I think it's just, yeah, being open to those challenges and experiences.
Thank you so much, Joy. Really,
No worries.
I think you shared a really insightful perspective. through your journey. And I think it's a powerful example of how cultural resilience is built also day by day. So it doesn't come like that. And you build it through curiosity. You're very curious people. You're very open, and you're also very able to adapt without losing your basic culture. So really
Yeah.
who you are, but instead building it up with more things and really not transforming, rather evolving, I would say.
Exactly.
So, yes, thank you, Joy, for being with us. You've been a
Thank you so
wonderful
much.
host.
Yeah, it was very nice, as if I'm, just like talking to you in a coffee shop or like having an apéro. So it was very nice.
Yeah, we should.
Change of scene as well.
Yeah. So, thank you again. And to our listeners, if you want to hear more stories like this, follow Expat Aptitude on YouTube and Spotify. And if you want to join the conversation, please do and use the hashtag Expat Aptitude on social media and share your story. I'm Vera, and I look forward to welcoming you to our next episode. Bye.